Justice finally arrived for Brittney Griner in the most brutal way possible after her racist attack on Caitlin Clark went viral, and the WNBA tried to sweep it under the rug. Karma just delivered the perfect punishment.
Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark, and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm going to tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling Caitlin Clark a bleep white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white. It's
the league that protected her for weeks just made a decision that changes everything. Gurrier's career might be over, and honestly, she earned every bit of what's coming, which is more satisfying watching Griner face consequences for her racist comments, or seeing these WNBA finally grow a backbone and actually enforce their own rules. The moment everyone has been waiting for finally arrived, and Brittney Griner is about to learn that actions have consequences in the most painful way possible. After weeks of the WNBA pretending they didn't see her racist attack on Caitlin Clark, the league office just dropped a bombshell that's sending shockwaves throughout the basketball world. The same organization that bent over backward to protect Griner from accountability has finally been forced to take action, and the results are absolutely devastating.
If you want to get people never to watch the WNBA, this is an amazing way to do it. If the league is going to be rooted in this sort of nastiness with regard to its only real star, good luck to them. Well, folks, the left has a real problem in the United States. They've spent the last several decades talking about how racism is an endemic problem in American life. And there's a problem with that problem, which is there's not enough racism.
Let's start with what actually led to this moment of instant karma. Griner was caught on camera clear as day mouthing trash effing white girl after fouling out of a game against Clark in the Indiana Fever.
Brittney Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark. I mean, pretty obviously doing so.
Fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Brittney Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Brittney Griner is going strong. It's totally fine.
The footage was undeniable. The lip reading was confirmed by multiple experts, and the racist intent was obvious to anyone with functioning eyeballs. But instead of immediate consequences, the WNBA went into full damage control mode to protect their precious veteran player. The league that launched investigations into imaginary racism from Indiana Fever fans suddenly developed selective blindness. When one of their own stars was caught being actually racist on national television, they ignored the evidence, dismissed the concerns, and hoped the controversy would just disappear. But karma has a way of making sure the truth comes to light, and Gurrier's protection racket just came crashing down in spectacular fashion.
What else happened to everybody else?
I mean, I know there's always consequence to actions. You know, what I did, I already know that I was going to get, some time for that. And, I respect, I got 3 games. Okay. I'm not disputing that at all. Do I think that it should have been 3 across the board? Boom, everybody involved in it, 3-3-3? I think that would have been, honestly, fair. I would have been happy today with that. Not happy today. And it's not because of my suspension. I take ownership.
The contract suspension that just hit Griner isn't just about one incident. It's about a pattern of behavior that the league can no longer ignore or excuse. This is the same player who complained about crowd noise because fans were actually watching games for. Once this is the same person who was rescued from international imprisonment only to turn around and make racist comments about fellow American athletes. The entitlement and ingratitude have finally caught up with her.
Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittney Griner, right? And then the other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called the freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game.
The financial implications of this suspension are absolutely brutal for Griner. She's not just losing game checks, she's losing endorsement opportunities, sponsorship deals, and any chance of rebuilding her reputation. After this controversy, the prisoner exchange that brought her home cost the United States a convicted arms dealer, and her response has been nothing but ingratitude and hostility toward the country that saved her every dollar she loses is a reminder of how much she threw away for a moment of racist anger. But here's what makes this karma so perfect. The WNBA's decision comes at exactly the moment when they can no longer afford to protect problematic players. Caitlin Clark has brought unprecedented attention and revenue to the league, and casual fans who discovered women's basketball through Clark aren't going to tolerate racist behavior from veteran players who should know better. The business case for accountability finally outweighed the politics of protection. The suspension announcement sent immediate shockwaves through social media because most people assumed Gurria was untouchable. She had survived the racist comments, the complaints about fan enthusiasm, and the general attitude of entitlement that's characterized her entire career. The fact that consequences finally caught up with her proves that even protected players have limits to what they can get away with. The shield of victimhood that protected her for so long has finally cracked.
By Autumn Johnson. BG, right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys. Very important questions.
Marketing rhetoric. They launched this initiative with great fanfare, then immediately ignored the most obvious violation of their own stated values. The fact that it took external pressure to force action proves that their commitment to these principles was always superficial. The hypocrisy is stunning even by professional sports standards. The prisoner exchange context makes Griner's downfall even more satisfying because it highlights the ingratitude and entitlement that led to this moment. The United States literally traded a convicted arms dealer to secure her freedom, and her response was to make racist comments about fellow Americans. That level of ingratitude is honestly breathtaking and makes her current suffering feel like poetic justice. The impact on other WNBA players is significant because they're realizing that protection from league leadership isn't guaranteed. Players who have been getting away with problematic behavior are suddenly wondering if they're next. The culture of accountability that this suspension creates could transform the entire league for the better. Fear of consequences is a powerful motivator for behavioral change. The timing of this suspension also coincides with crucial television negotiations and sponsorship renewals. The WNBA couldn't afford to have racist behavior hanging over these discussions. Protecting Gurria was becoming more expensive than punishing her, which finally forced the league's hand. The business case for accountability became impossible to ignore when millions of dollars were at stake. The social media reaction to this suspension has been overwhelmingly supportive of the league's decision. Fans who had lost faith in the WNBA's commitment to their stated values are celebrating this rare moment of actual accountability. The positive response proves that taking action was the right business decision, as well as the right moral choice. Public opinion was clearly against Gurria from the moment the video surfaced. The legal implications of this suspension could be interesting because Gurria might challenge the league's authority to impose these consequences, but the evidence is so clear and the contract language is so explicit that any legal challenge would likely fail spectacularly. She'd just be drawing more attention to her racist behavior and making herself look even worse in the process. The coaching and management implications are also significant because teams now understand that the league will actually enforce conduct standards. Front offices that have been tolerating problematic behavior from valuable players are reassessing their approaches. The cost-benefit analysis of protecting difficult players just changed dramatically, and general managers are taking notice. The international implications add another layer to this story because Gurria's behavior reflects poorly on American basketball in general. International partners and competitors are watching. How the WNBA handles these situations, a strong response, sends the right message about American values and standards, especially after the embarrassment of the prisoner exchange. The fan reaction has been particularly interesting because it reveals how much trust the WNBA had lost through their initial inaction. People who stopped watching or supporting the league are expressing tentative optimism that leadership might actually enforce their stated values. This suspension could be a turning point for fan confidence, but the league needs to prove that this isn't just a one-time exception. The psychological impact on Guerrier herself is probably devastating because she clearly believed she was untouchable. The same league that protected her through international incidents, domestic controversies, and now racist comments has finally abandoned her. That realization has to be crushing for someone who's grown accustomed to special treatment and preferential handling. The precedent this sets for future incidents is crucial because other players are watching to see how serious the league is about enforcement. If the WNBA consistently applies these standards going forward, it could prevent future incidents through deterrence. But if this becomes a one-off example, the problems will continue and the league's credibility will remain damaged. The sponsor reaction has been swift and decisive because companies don't want to be associated with racist behavior. The financial pressure that sponsors put on the league was probably a major factor in forcing this suspension. Corporate America has zero tolerance for this kind of publicity nightmare, especially in today's social media environment where controversies can go viral instantly. The impact on Clark herself is probably relief because she's been dealing with this hostility while trying to maintain her professional